Getting off the ground as a screenwriter can be pretty tough. You're probably working a full-time desk job, or maybe you're a student. Maybe you already have kids, and the free time you did have to work on this after your job is just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. My name is Albert Ellison. I'm a screenwriter and filmmaker. I'm the creator of a film called The Profession that will hopefully be out later this year or maybe early 2026 for you to watch. And I've been stuck in that rut too. So today I want to look at 5 tips to start writing screenplays. First, let's consider your hourly wage as a writer and know how that relates to your budget. I know you probably haven't considered the notion of paying yourself for screenwriting, especially on your first script, and I certainly didn't, especially not while I was stuck slinging God's chicken every day. But this hourly rate will help you grasp what you're capable of. So let's say that you set an hourly wage of $35 an hour, and you worked on your screenplay for 2 hours a day after work or school for 6 months, excluding the weekends. Let's round a bit and say that that's 50 hours a month. That's about 300 hours over the course of 6 months at $35 an hour, which means your budget is $10,500. Now, that's a tiny budget in comparison to a lot of other big Hollywood productions. Screenwriters usually earn 2 to 3% of the production budget. So let's look at some big movies from last year to see what sort of salaries they were making. Anora had a production budget of $6 million, which means the estimated screenplay budget was probably around $120K. The Substance, around $350K. Nosferatu, about $1 million. Challengers, about $1,100,000. Doom Part 2, $3,800,000. So there's a big takeaway. What is that? It's that we need to think small. If our budget is only $10,000, we need to think something attainable, maybe even a short film. And look, for full transparency, I procrastinated ever writing a short film before I actually went through an entire production on my first feature film, which was The Profession that I talked about earlier in the video. So I completely understand the idea of wanting to go big, of just wanting to achieve your dream project, because writing a short was never completely fulfilling to me. It's just not everything that I wanted. It never scratched that itch completely. But the reality is that what I learned is it's better to get all your rookie mistakes out of the way on smaller projects rather than tarnishing your dream project. That being said, do not let me stop you from writing what you want to write. If you want to go big, then please, by all means, chase your dreams, do what you want to do. Stay tuned for tip 4 to get more ideas on how to potentially get bang for your buck in this department. Tip 2 is to get inspiration. Whatever you're filling up your cup with is what you will be able to pour out. Personally, I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time, whether I'm working or driving or whatever. And I have some podcasts about video games that I love listening to on a daily basis, but sometimes this just derails me from staying on track with my screenwriting work. I'm just not filling up with the right things, if that makes sense. So filling yourself up by watching films, television, and actually reading other screenplays is vastly important. And all you need is the internet to actually get these things done. I'm sure you all have a streaming service or two for movies, but for finding free screenplays, check out the website ScriptSlug. It hosts a massive collection of free scripts that you can download as PDFs or just read natively off the site. This isn't a sponsorship at all, it's just what I normally use. If I were you, I would make an inspiration Bible for your story. Write down categories like characters, vibes and atmosphere, dialogue styles, themes, genre influences, arcs, pacing, etc. Build out all of your influences. Depending on how you write and what the project is for, it's not all that wrong to build out even more influences for things like music and editing and pacing and sound design and visual texture, etc. For other inspiration, I'd also recommend listening to other writing podcasts like The Screenwriting Life or A Writer's Mind with Tyler Mowry, whenever you're driving or in the car or something. I think just listening and taking in that information from people who have been doing it for a long time is just invaluable resources. Tip 3 is to lean into your talents. If you feel like you're an emotional writer, then please lean into that. Make amazing character moments and don't concern yourself at first with the overall structure and flow of your story. That can be developed later. If you're good at the dialogue timing and pacing, then lean into that. If you're good at concepts, then sure, lean into it. If you love creating atmosphere, then immerse us. What you'll come to learn is that that is your voice as a writer, and that really matters. Every writer has their strengths and weaknesses. It will develop and end up defining your work as a screenplay writer. But obviously, you still have to improve yourself in all other areas of the craft. After you start leaning into your strengths, I would recommend trying to connect yourself into communities of writers who can sharpen your blade and make up for those areas that you lack in. Both of these podcasts that I listed in tip 3 have communities of writers that you can join through things like their Discord or Facebook groups. Tip 4 is to lean into adaptations. Especially at first, there's really no reason you should be doing everything by yourself. I mean, you can, but there's no reason you have to be. For both budgetary and skill set reasons, there can be a real advantage and it can be more efficient to adapt something that you love. Right now, as we speak, I'm in the process of adapting the comic book Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. This isn't one that I'm trying to sell or produce into a film or anything, but I'm doing it because under James Gunn and his new DC universe, there's a film already being produced based off of this comic book specifically. I wanted to create my own version of it before that film comes out. That way I can compare notes to what they did, and hopefully that'll help me learn a lot. Having this 8-issue comic strip has exponentially sped up my process of writing. Within a week, I was able to read the entire strip, write down notes on what was interesting to me about the story, and form a basic outline. And then a week later, I'm 34 pages into actually writing the screenplay. Adapting a screenplay out of a book or a comic movie or a video game or anything else is a great idea, but to go one step further, I would even recommend straight up recreating or retyping a pre-existing script. You can go to ScriptSlug and download a screenplay that you love, and the process of retyping that entire screenplay will teach you a lot. Any of this background footage that you've been watching is actually me retyping the Nosferatu screenplay by Robert Eggers from 2024. I know some composers who challenge themselves to recreate songs and compositions note by note based on their ear's ability to listen to the song that they love. In the same way, forcing yourself into the shoes of the writer that you respect will teach you a lot about how to accomplish what they have and how the different aspects of their craft weave together. It'll force you to do the same things that they've done. And at the very least, even if you feel like you didn't learn a lot from it, this is a way to get your fingers typing and it'll teach you some of the craft. And trust me, that's a lot more than just sitting on your bum staring at a blank screen. Okay, tip 5. This one is to set a daily minimum page count for yourself. Creating a daily habit out of writing will honestly just be your greatest ally. When writing my Supergirl adaptation, several of the days I was only able to eke out a page or 2 max because it just wasn't coming together. But then one of the other days, over the span of 3 hours, I wrote 23 pages. I'd recommend setting that minimum daily page count very low, probably to like a page or 2 at most, because the reality is that some days you won't have as good of a day as other days. Start with that single page per day. I've heard professionals say that their minimum are 2 or 3 pages a day. If you were to write a single page every day and you were writing a full 120-page screenplay, then you should average out to about 3 screenplays a year, which I don't know about you, but that's way more than I was writing when I first started, and I would feel very accomplished. Obviously, you'll have some days where you write even way more than 120, so if you shrink down those margins, that'll give you a lot of time to not only finish drafts, but be able to redraft your script and have polished versions of it, multiple polished screenplays in a year. So just write 1 page per day and don't judge it. Not every page is going to be good, but with that repetition, the pages are slowly going to get better and better, and creating this habit will change your trajectory, I promise you. So get off YouTube and start writing. Thank you for watching this episode, guys. My name is Albert Ellison. If you enjoyed it or found it informative, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It would mean a lot and it'd really help me out. But I mean, if you thought the video could have been better, just give it a thumbs down and please leave me some constructive criticisms in the comments below so that I know how to do better next time. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.